Our movie starts with a child named Jess who has a talent for drawing and imagination. We see him having breakfast with his family and we notice that he is introverted and doesn't talk to them, and none of them seem to care about him. After breakfast, he gets dressed to go to school, and on the bus, a girl from school named Janice bullies him. Jess arrives at school, and in class, his classmate Scott also bullies him. After a while, a new student named Leslie arrives in the class. Before she sits down, she drops her things on the floor and the whole class laughs at her except Jess. Then, during the break, Janice pulls Leslie as she's going to the bathroom and stops her from entering unless she pays $1. At the same time, there is a race happening and many students, including Scott and Jess, are participating. Leslie is the only girl in the race and she wins. Jess feels very upset and Leslie goes to congratulate him, but he gets up and leaves her. The school day ends and Jess notices that Leslie got off the bus with him and realizes that she just moved into the house next to his. Jess goes into his house and enters his room, shocked to find his sister Belle drawing in his sketchbook. He gets angry at her and she runs to seek protection from their father. We notice that their father favors Belle over his other children and Jess feels upset about this. The next day, Leslie tries to start a conversation with Jess, but he ignores her. On the bus, she sees him drawing and is impressed, so she offers him gum, which he accepts. The following day, she takes his sketchbook and tells him his drawings are very good. When they get to school, Leslie sits in Janice's usual seat, so Jess quickly gets her to move before Janice sees her and starts a fight. After getting off the bus, Leslie tells Jess she wants to have some fun and they run around the house together. They enter the forest where they talk about their adventure and find a rope hanging over the river. Jess is scared because he hasn't been there in a long time. Leslie grabs a rope and starts swinging, having a great time, and convinces Jess to try it too. They both swing on the rope and have a lot of fun. Leslie tells Jess that she dreams of having a secret kingdom just for them that no one else knows about. Leslie swings on the rope again, crossing to the other side of the river, and suddenly disappears from Jess's sight. He quickly goes to look for her and suddenly finds her emerging from behind the trees. They continue walking together and Jess thinks he hears a sound, getting very scared and wanting to go back. But Leslie tells him she found a wooden tree house and they climb the tree to reach it. Leslie says the place is like a castle where their people are imprisoned. Leslie explains that they need to free these prisoners from the Dark Master. Jess doesn't quite believe her but enjoys the adventure. They start visiting their kingdom daily, tidying it up and bringing items from home to decorate it. The next day, Leslie tells Jess that her parents are fantasy writers and Jess says that must be why she has such a vivid imagination. Suddenly, things start falling on them from the tree above because of some mischievous animals. They decide these animals are spies of the Dark Master and name them Skogor. One of the animals falls on Jess and he quickly fights it off. Then they climb a tall tree and look over their kingdom feeling amazed. Leslie names it the Kingdom of Terabithia. Jess returns home and draws everything he imagined about the kingdom. Suddenly, his family comes in to celebrate his birthday. Later, he helps his father set up a trap in front of the house to catch the animals that have been causing trouble. The next day, Leslie gives Jess a present on the bus knowing it was his birthday yesterday. She gives him an expensive set of colors. Jess is delighted and thanks her. After school, they continue fixing their treehouse. Suddenly, they find a large tree has fallen on their treehouse. Leslie says a giant troll must have done this, but Jess insists it's just a regular big tree. Leslie convinces him that the tree didn't fall by itself and that the troll, under the order of the Dark Master, knocked it down. They imagine the size of the troll's foot from the hole they find in the ground and start to chase the Dark Master. The next morning, Jess wakes up to a loud noise and realizes the trap caught the animal that's been damaging their garden. He takes the trap into the forest to release the animal and then returns the trap to the house. His father finds out what he did and scolds him, saying the animal needed to be killed so it wouldn't come back to destroy their garden again. Jess goes to school feeling very upset about his argument with his father. The next day, Leslie asks if he will go with her to their treehouse. Jess tells her she's living in a dream and that there is no kingdom or troll. During the break, Jess's sister Belle comes to him crying and tells him that Janice took her candy in exchange for letting her use the bathroom. She asks Jess to get her candy back and to beat Janice up because he's her big brother. Jess refuses, saying if he hits Janice, he will get expelled from school. Jess goes with his sister, and late at night he opens his sketchbook. The next day, he makes up with Leslie and gives her a drawing with a note saying that the giant troll hunting season starts today. After school, they go to the forest and Jess brings Leslie a dog, telling her that the dog will help them find the giant troll. The dog runs and they follow it until it stops and starts barking at a spot. They imagine a big tree chasing them, but they manage to escape and climb up to their tree house. They then start thinking about Janice's weakness to get back at her. They decide to write a love letter pretending it's from Willard, the boy Janice likes, saying she's beautiful and asking to meet after school. The next day, Jess puts the letter in her desk. Janice reads it and waits for Willard after school. When she sees him, she tells him she's waiting for him because of the letter. But he says he doesn't know what she's talking about and everyone laughs at her. When Janice gets on the bus, everyone makes fun of her and Bella realizes that her brother and Leslie were behind the prank, making her very happy. Later, they go home and Leslie asks Jess to come over because they're renovating her house and need his help. They start painting the house and Leslie's dad is impressed with Jess's concentration and realizes he's an artist. Jess enjoys spending time with Leslie's family. After finishing up, he heads back home. The next day, Jess's teacher sees his drawings and is amazed by his talent. Later, Leslie tells Jess that Janice is in the bathroom crying hysterically and Jess suggests that Leslie should check on her. On the bus, Jess asks Leslie why Janice was so upset and Leslie tells him she'll explain when they get off the bus. When Janice gets on the bus, she finds someone else sitting in her usual spot, so she sits somewhere else. After getting off the bus, Leslie tells Jess that Janice's parents fought and hit her. When the neighbors heard the commotion, they called the police and the news spread throughout her class. Leslie tried to comfort Janice by sharing some of her own sad stories and advised her to pretend everything was okay until people forgot about it. The next day, Jess's dad asks him to get something from the shed, giving him the key. Jess goes to the shed but loses the keys, which makes his dad angry. His dad scolds him, saying he's too distracted by his drawings and now they will have to dock his pay because of the lost keys. Jess gets out of the bus with Leslie and tells her what happens. Leslie reveals she knows where the keys are. They are with Belle because she wanted to use them to make wind chimes. She found them on the ground and took them, hanging them in the treehouse. After school, they rush to get the keys back, but suddenly they're chased by animals. They run to the treehouse and find the keys hanging there, with the animals close behind. Leslie and Jess use birds to scare the animals away. Jess climbs the trees to get the keys, but a big bird knocks him down. Before he falls, the giant troll saves him and helps him. Jess and Leslie return to their homes, and Jess feels grateful for having her in his life. When Jess gets home, he quietly puts the keys in front of his dad and goes up to his room. His teacher calls and invites him to a museum in the city that day, and she suggests he join her. Jess asks his mom for permission and she agrees. He gets ready and goes out to meet his teacher, who drives them to the museum. They arrive at the museum and have a fun day. Afterward, Jess returns home and finds his family worried about him because Leslie, his friend, has drowned in the river. The rope she was swinging on broke and she fell. Jess is shocked and tells them it can't be true because the rope was strong. He accuses them of lying and runs to his room, devastated. The next day, Jess wakes up in denial about Leslie's death. Later, he goes with his parents to Leslie's house to offer condolences. Jess is still in disbelief about what happened. While there, Leslie's father tells him he was the best friend Leslie ever had. When Jess goes back to school, Scott bothers him during class, so Jess punches him in front of the teacher, who then sends Jess out of the class. Afterwards, she talks to him and says that Leslie was beautiful and special, and she understands his feelings, so she won't punish him. Jess remains very depressed. One day, a classmate hits him, but Janice stands up for him, hits the boy back, and then sits next to Jess on the bus. When he gets off the bus, Jess goes to the forest and finds the rope indeed broken and the tree fallen. He crosses the river using the fallen tree and keeps calling out for Leslie, searching for her. He hears someone calling him him and thinks it's Leslie, but then realizes it's his sister who had followed him, tripped over the tree and fallen. He rescues her, scolds her, and tells her to go home. He pushes her, causing her to fall to the ground. Bella goes back home and tells her father what happened. Meanwhile, Jess goes to the treehouse and takes the paints Leslie had given him, throwing them into the river out of sadness. He imagines a monster chasing him, so he runs away and falls. When he looks back, he finds his father helping him up, comforting him and consoling him. Later, they go home, and Jess tries to make up with his sister, but she refuses to talk to him. He discovers she had drawn a picture of him fighting the evil creature. Jess decides to surprise his sister. He goes to Leslie's father before they move out and asks for some wood. Then he tells his sister he wants to show her something. He takes her to see a bridge he built over the river so she can cross safely and see whatever she wants. Billy is amazed when she sees the kingdom. Jess crowns her with a tiara and tells her that all of this was inspired by Leslie's imagination. And that's it. That's the end of our movie. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments below what movie you want us to recap next. Peace out.